I wanted to start really by just asking members to think about the sort of feedback that you've seen from residents, and I know we've had from residents in particular, on this very issue, because it has been debated, and it is being debated out there in Basingstoke. And one of the issues that's consistently being raised, that you've already heard from, is access. It's also, the words that have been used, is isolation and remoteness. They consistently come up in terms of people's views of the site under consideration. I also know that that's one of people's main concerns about the existing crematorium, that they consider that to be remote and they consider that to be isolated, as people trying to access and use the facility for the memory and commemoration of their loved ones. I think the villages in the main have got their own provision. Not all have, but many have. So what we're really discussing here tonight is a cemetery mainly for the town, and the whole town. I think North Waltham is the only site where the council would have to fork out nearly £500,000, which is at odds, as others have said, when we already own quite a significant amount of other land around the town. So it seems this decision, I think, has been overtaken by events, and it's been overtaken by more appropriate sites in the past couple of years. Now, couldn't that £500,000 be better spent elsewhere? Couldn't that £500,000, for example, better subsidise a bus service actually accessing a chosen site? Or, whichever site is chosen, accessing the site in the way the residents would expect, and that's not a taxi share. It's also the only site the council would have to then annually spend money subsidising a bus route if you do go with North Waltham, because the taxi share won't work. So an annual bus route is going to cost this borough significantly ongoing costs. And we all know what happens to subsidised bus routes, and the debate you had before this one. A taxi share on paper sounds reasonable, but in practice it won't do the job set against the demand that's needed and likely in this context. Now look, if the administration are committed to North Waltham, if this is the direction of travel that you're going in, and I think it's the wrong one, at the very least you should be seeking, I think, to extend the option to purchase the land by another 6 months. That would then give you time to relook at the options. A planning process, most likely at the shortest, would take 6 months. At the outset, if there's problems and issues, would take 18 months from when it's verified and from when it's submitted. And that's a question. You know, when would you look to submit and when would you seek to go through the process on this? So there is time to get this right if it is done properly. But things have changed in 2 years since all the options were discussed last. The local plan's been produced in draft. Sites have come forward and arisen. New opportunities have come forward and arisen. And the issue over Manydown has finally been resolved. We know the direction of travel there on Manydown, and it is an option. So too a possible temporary option of an extension of the children's cemetery near the hospital, if you're looking for a temporary solution. Now both of those are on bus routes. Both of those are on bus routes that are frequently used and are well used by residents, particularly if you think about the Wellington Terrace end of Winkleberry, and particularly if you think about the hospital. So there are options. There is a way to navigate through this so that we take people with us. But I think the one thing that's coming across loud and clear is that the North Waltham option is the least favoured of everybody you've heard so far this evening, including the professionals, let alone us councillors. It is the least favoured of everybody that we've spoken to about this, and that is a considerable number of residents. And the issue is, this is for the town. So if you stick it at North Waltham, you are genuinely doing the rest of the town a disservice. I genuinely think there are better options. We've got time to think this through. So let's do the right thing and not rush ahead with North Waltham, but look at those other options in a bit more detail.
Thank you very much, and well stuck to time. Can I just